My name is Elise Wren. I'm 33 years old. Can we maybe just do one without Elise just family? My brother says it like it's nothing. Like asking for a version of the picture where I don't exist is a reasonable request. The photographer chuckles, unsure if it's a joke. It isn't. I'm standing by the edge of Aunt Marianne's garden patio, holding a half-full mug of cider and pretending I didn't hear it. My heart squeezes tight in my chest like something delicate being stepped on slowly. The worst part, no one objects. No one says, "Come on, Preston, don't be a dick." No one laughs awkwardly to brush it off. They just shift. My mother's hand touches her pearl necklace. Her eyes focus intensely on a potted chrysanthemum. My cousin Paige pulls her toddler closer. My aunt moves to rearrange chairs. It's a silent, unanimous agreement Elise is optional. The air is cold for late November. The sun is dropping behind the hills, painting the edges of the family in gold as they pose together. There's a hollow at the center of my stomach that has nothing to do with the overcooked turkey. I step back further from the patio stones, feet crunching in the gravel. The mug in my hand is cold now. Like me. Cold and forgotten. I tell myself not to react. I've survived worse humiliations. I've been blindfolded in basements that reeked of blood and gasoline. I've smiled at diplomats who were plotting my death. I've walked into war zones in a Kevlar vest and heels. But somehow, this being edited out of a family photo feels sharper than shrapnel, because this was supposed to be the easy part. This was supposed to be home. Preston smooths his blazer and throws an arm around his fiancée's shoulder. She's all teeth and wine-stained lips. "Smile," someone calls. The camera clicks. Click. Like a trigger pulled. No one notices me walking away. I cross the garden and lean against the old brick wall near the tool shed, the cold seeping through my coat. I focus on breathing. In through the nose. Out through the teeth. I remind myself I've been gone for 5 years. They don't know me anymore. Maybe they never did. Maybe it's easier for them if I'm just the one who left. The ghost. The rumor. The failure. The one who never married, never came back, never explained. I sip the cider. It tastes like cinnamon and pity. What they don't know, what no one here knows, is that I didn't just leave. I was recruited. I left to save lives. I left because I was the best candidate for one of the most covert programs the U.S. government has ever run. I left because I was trained for things I can't speak about, not even in dreams. I've broken into embassies under fake names. I've tracked rogue agents through sewer tunnels in Prague. I've watched good men die for the lies they told too well. They think I disappeared because I had nothing to offer. They have no idea I've spent years carrying the kind of secrets that split countries open. I set the mug down on the garden wall. My hands are steady now. Because it's time. From the driveway, the deep hum of engines rolls in. 3 black SUVs pull up the gravel path, tires crackling with authority. The kind of vehicles you never see unless something important is about to happen. People on the patio start murmuring. The photographer lowers his camera. Preston frowns. The first SUV stops. The driver gets out tall black suit comms wire in one ear. He opens the rear door. Out steps director Julia Hensley. Her silver hair is neatly tucked under a dark blue coat. No makeup. No smile. Just the face of a woman who's ordered drone strikes before breakfast. My aunt gasps. My mother's hand flies to her chest. Paige whispers, "Is that?" The director scans the crowd with practiced precision, then speaks clearly and without preamble. "Is Elise Wren present?" Silence. I take 3 steps forward into the orange evening light. "Yes, ma'am." She nods once and approaches. Her hand reaches into her coat and pulls out a small leather folder, the kind that feels heavier than it looks. She holds it out to me. "Congratulations on your promotion, Officer Wren. Senior Field Intelligence effective immediately. A badge. Gold embossed, government sealed. CIA. I take it." No applause, no cheers, just gasps and widened eyes. Preston stares like he's trying to recognize a stranger. My mother looks like someone just turned a spotlight on her private shame. The director turns on her heel. Her guards follow. The SUVs don't linger. They disappear down the drive just as fast as they arrived. And I'm left standing there, badge in hand, cider on my breath, in the middle of a family that no longer knows where to look. I don't speak. I don't need to. Because this moment, this disruption, this exposure isn't about ego. It's about reclamation. They erased me from their narrative, so I wrote my own. But this didn't happen overnight. This didn't begin in the driveway or even in Langley. This began much earlier. In smaller, quieter ways. Long before the badge. Long before I even knew what I was capable of. If you want to understand what it feels like to vanish from your own bloodline and come back with fire in your mouth, then let me take you to the start. Before I was Elise Wren, Senior Intelligence Officer for the CIA, I was just Elise, the quiet girl who always colored inside the lines, and still somehow got ignored. I grew up in Gaithersburg, Maryland, in a 3-bedroom colonial with beige siding and a sloped backyard that flooded every spring. Our house always smelled like lemon cleaner and simmering guilt. My mother, Lorraine, was a devout woman, disciplined, emotionally distant, and rigid with her expectations. She had a quiet way of expressing disappointment that could shrink a room. My father, Daniel Wren, died when I was 9. A heart attack, sudden and massive. He was 38. One minute he was laughing over grilled chicken, the next he was slumped in a chair with his head tilted at a strange angle. Preston, my older brother, pulled me away and told me not to look. After that, everything got colder. Preston became the golden boy. He was 13 then, already popular, already good at football, already mastering how to charm adults without ever letting them see behind the mask. He picked up the mantle of manhood like it was tailored for him. My mother clung to him like a lifeline. She poured her approval into his every move. Honor roll certificates got framed, mediocre touchdowns became family legend, and when he got into Johns Hopkins for pre-med, it was declared divine proof of our family's worth. And me? I did my homework quietly. Read spy novels under the covers, wrote papers so detailed my teachers thought I was plagiarizing. I studied people the way a surgeon studies muscle, how they flinched, paused, lied with their eyes. I learned early that no one noticed you if you sat still and kept your hands folded. So I did, for years. But invisibility has its uses. I got into Georgetown without fanfare. My mother didn't cry. Preston offered a handshake like I was a distant cousin being shipped off. I majored in political science with a minor in psychology. I aced every exam, still invisible. It was a professor, Dr. Samir Desai, who saw through the silence. He was former NSA, though he never said it aloud. One afternoon after class, he looked at me and said, "You ever think about doing something more? Off the record with that brain of yours?" I said, "Like what?" He smiled, "Something useful." He gave me a card, no title, just a number. I didn't call right away. I spent a month carrying that card around like it might burn me. Then one night, I did. The voice on the other end asked me 2 questions. Do you believe in serving something larger than yourself, and are you willing to disappear to do it? I said yes, and that was it. No dramatic tests, no Bond movie theatrics, just a silent pivot. I trained in D.C. under a program that didn't officially exist, learned Arabic and Farsi, did dead drop drills in Baltimore alleyways, studied social engineering, combat restraint, encrypted comms, neuropsychology. My instructors rarely smiled. The best compliment I ever received was, "You pass unnoticed." By 25, I was embedded overseas under a diplomatic cover story. I can't tell you where. Let's just say the embassy walls were thin and the coffee was always laced with whispers. I served in 3 different regions, watched coups rise and fall, passed intel that saved lives I'll never meet, betrayed men I once called friends, risked mine more than once. My mother still thought I worked at a law firm doing administrative policy review. The last time I came home, it was for my cousin Paige's engagement dinner. I wore a navy dress and sat at the end of the table. No one asked me anything. Preston gave a toast. He joked that I was still between jobs or maybe just on a government vacation. Everyone laughed. I laughed too. Pretending is part of the job. After dessert, my mother cornered me in the kitchen. She handed me Tupperware and said, "It's okay, Elise. Not everyone's meant for structure. Some people just drift." I remember standing there holding a container of lemon bars, wondering if I should tell her what I'd seen the week before, an agent tortured for 4 days in a basement with rats and diesel fumes. Wondering if she'd feel shame or just annoyance that I'd changed the subject. I didn't say a word. That night, I flew back to North Africa. And I didn't return again, not for holidays, not for birthdays, not even for my aunt's funeral. Every year away made it easier not to come back. Not because I didn't care, but because it became clear they didn't notice. The family newsletter arrived twice a year. I was never mentioned. Preston's medical career, Paige's kids, even my mother's community gardening project, everything got a paragraph. I was a ghost. Sometimes I wondered if they'd already written me off as dead. Sometimes I wondered if they wanted to. But ghosts see everything, and they remember. So when I got the invitation to Paige's wedding, I hesitated. The envelope was hand-addressed, but generic inside. "We'd love to have you. If you can make it." It didn't say "we miss you." It didn't say "please come." It was a placeholder gesture. Still, I said yes, not because I thought they'd change, but because I had. And I needed to know what parts of me still hurt when I stood in that old house. Langley approved the domestic leave. Barely. I boarded a plane in the dark, my fingers still sore from a decryption assignment that ended badly. I carried no weapons, no aliases, just Elise. I didn't wear black. I wore soft earth tones. I packed dresses. I brought gifts. I prepared myself for small talk and passive aggression and the ache of being the stranger in my own bloodline. I thought I could handle it. I didn't know yet what it would feel like to be erased from photographs, from stories, from memory. I didn't know the real mission hadn't even started. By the time Paige's wedding day arrived, I already knew I wouldn't be in a single formal photo. They'd sent out a family schedule cleverly titled Moments We Want to Remember, and I wasn't included in the bridesmaid brunch, the rehearsal dinner speech list, or the immediate family shot blocked for Saturday at 4:45 p.m. The subtlety wasn't necessary. I got the message. Still, I showed up. Hair curled, makeup soft, a sleeveless olive dress that fell past the knees. I'd worn it once to a closed-door briefing in Morocco, striking but forgettable. Useful. The wedding venue was a renovated farmhouse in Frederick County. White chairs lined the field. A string quartet played something cheerful. The air smelled like pine needles and perfume. I stood quietly near the back as the ceremony began, watching Paige, radiant, trembling human, walk down the aisle on her stepfather's arm. I felt nothing but a dull ache, like pressing on a bruise you'd nearly forgotten about. The first real sting came during the reception. I was standing near the buffet table, balancing a plate of roast chicken and asparagus, when Preston walked up with his fiancée, Lauren. She wore sequins and entitlement like armor. He nodded to me and smiled like we were strangers sharing an elevator. "Well, if it isn't Elise the Nomad," he said, sipping champagne. "We weren't sure you'd actually make it. Mom said you've been, floating around the country? Doing admin stuff," Lauren chimed in. "Oh, are you still in accounting?" I looked at them and smiled. "Something like that. Government work, right?" Preston raised an eyebrow. "Lot of forms and cubicles." Mostly basements," I said. "Quiet ones." He laughed, thinking it was a joke. Then he leaned in slightly. "You know Mom worries. Says it's like you dropped off the grid. It's just weird for her. She wants you to come back to something normal." I took a bite of asparagus to avoid responding. Normal. It had always meant their version of structure, suburban marriage potlucks, baby showers, a decent car payment. I didn't belong in that rhythm. Never did. I wandered outside after that. The air was cooler than it should have been in late fall. The stars were coming out, silent witnesses to everything we pretend not to say. That's when I noticed the photos. Dozens of them hung on twine between the trees, held by clothespins. Paige as a baby, Paige at graduation, Paige with her mother, stepdad, her bridesmaids, a few with Preston, one with my mother holding a small child, but none of me, not one. I scanned the string again, slower this time, like I was combing through intel looking for a code. There had to be at least 40 photos, family reunions, birthdays, holidays. In some of them, I remembered being there. I remembered the exact day, the dress I wore, the way the wind blew, the pasta I brought that no one touched. but in every shot I had either been cropped out or never asked to be in it at all. I stood there for too long. Eventually, my cousin Haley wandered over, wine glass in hand. "Oh, hey," she said, glancing at the photos. "Funny, right? Paige and I were going through old albums. We found so many cute ones." I nodded. Yeah, a lot of great memories. She didn't notice the ice in my voice. She squinted at one of the photos and laughed. "God, look at us. I had braces. And that shirt? Wow." I pointed at the edge of one frame, half a shoulder. "Mine, cut off by someone's careful crop." "That was the 4th of July at Grandma's lake house, right?" Haley followed my finger and blinked. "Oh, I guess you were there, weird." I totally forgot. She said it like she was noticing an old coffee stain on a rug. I excused myself. Later that night, I sat in the guest bedroom staring at the floral wallpaper and the ancient pink lamp that still smelled like dust and lavender. I opened my laptop, not for comfort, but for something solid. I needed to touch the version of myself that wasn't vanishing. I pulled up the internal agency portal, secured, encrypted, faceless. I logged in. Green confirmation screen. My name in the header, Wren Elise M. Clearance level 7, active. I stared at it. Let the truth of it settle into my skin. You're not crazy. You're not nothing. You're not invisible. They just never wanted to see you. A ping came an internal message from a handler in Geneva. Codename Rook. Subject line last-minute adjustment to Istanbul debrief. Director H will call you directly. Expect confirmation by 1500 EST tomorrow. I closed the laptop slowly. Tomorrow. Thanksgiving Day. Director Hensley. At my family's house. I almost laughed. The timing was absurd. Poetic, even. And yet, part of me still hesitated. That same old fracture opened up, childish, painful, stupid. The part that whispered, "But what if they're right? What if you really are just background noise?" I lay back on the bed, stared at the ceiling. The real damage wasn't the missing photos. It was the fact that they didn't even notice I was gone, that they could erase me so cleanly. What do you do with that? When your own blood rewrites your name in pencil, I knew what I had to do. I wouldn't scream, wouldn't beg to be seen. I'd do what I was trained to do. I'd make sure they noticed without ever saying a word. Thanksgiving morning in my family feels like a dress rehearsal for perfection. Everything must be crisp, beautiful, and photogenic, whether or not it's real. By 9:00 a.m., the house is already pulsing with forced cheer. The kitchen hums with coordinated chaos, my mother stirring cranberry sauce in her pearl gray sweater, set Preston carving the turkey like he's posing for a cooking magazine, and Paige floating around in cream-colored lace like a hostess in a dream she doesn't quite control. I stay out of the way as usual. I fold napkins, light candles, smile at elderly aunts who can't remember which grandchild I am. The real photo shoot happens around 2:00 p.m., just before the guests arrive. There's a printed list of shots as if this were a wedding. Wren family, full cousins, only siblings. Plus spouses, matriarch, and grandkids. I'm not on the list. They don't say it outright, of course, but the looks are enough. The photographer, a young woman named Elise, too, ironically glances at me once, and then never again. She's following the shot sheet like scripture. They arrange themselves beneath the autumn trellis. My mother insists on taking her spot between Preston and Paige. My aunt moves the toddlers into frame. I watch from the porch. "Is Elise coming?" the photographer asks, quietly holding her camera. "Oh, she's not in this one," my mother replies before anyone else can. Soft, dismissive, final. I turn back into the house before anyone sees my face. I tell myself it doesn't matter, that it's just a photograph, that I've handled death threats and double agents and blackmail in foreign languages, that I once posed as a wife to a war criminal and lived in his villa for 3 months. But in the quiet of the hallway, standing in front of the old oak mirror, I realize something cuts deeper than being forgotten. It's being forgotten on purpose. My reflection looks tired. Not from travel, but from being diminished so many times you start to do it to yourself. I've never looked weaker or lonelier. The dining room is full by 4. Roasted vegetables, smoked ham, endless laughter. They go around the table saying what they're thankful for: health promotions, engagements, Preston's new condo. When it's my turn, someone sneezes and the moment skips over me entirely. I eat my potatoes and nod along. I don't correct it. I don't speak. Later that night, the lights dim and the slide projector comes out. It's a tradition. Paige and her new husband play a short film they made, Our Story, they call it. A 10-minute slideshow of old family videos and photos. Nostalgia narrated. There's music, laughter. Look at that hair. Remember that trip. Oh my God, that sweater I watch as frame after frame dances across the living room wall. Birthdays, beach trips, Thanksgivings past. Little Elise with pigtails. Elise in middle school braces. Elise in her Georgetown hoodie, eyes bright. Then, nothing. From 2016 on, I disappear. Like a ghost slipping out of the frame. No college graduation, no 25th birthday, no family game nights, no reunions. They clipped me out like dead weight. The music keeps playing. I sit frozen on the edge of the sofa, wine glass untouched in my hand. Paige sits beside her husband, smiling. My mother dabs at her eyes. Preston kisses Lauren's hand and laughs. I look at my own absence. It's not a mistake. It's curated. I stand quietly and leave the room. No one stops me. I step out into the backyard. The grass crunches beneath my shoes. The cold air stings, but I let it. It makes me feel more real than I do inside that house. I walk past the twinkle lights strung from the trees past the empty fire pit and sit alone on the edge of the garden wall. I take off my shoes, let my feet feel the frozen dirt. For once, I don't try to be strong. I let myself feel the full gravity of what this is. They didn't just forget me, they erased me, intentionally, collectively, and I can't even blame them, because I gave them the tools to do it. I stayed gone. I kept secrets. I didn't send Christmas cards or post on social media or explain my silence. I became exactly what they needed invisible. But the part they'll never understand is why I left. Not for spite, not for rebellion, but because I couldn't breathe inside that narrative they wrote for me. The one where Preston shines and Elise almost mattered. The one where I was sensitive or too private or offbeat. The one where I didn't fit. I was never meant to fit. I pull my phone from my coat pocket. A new message glows on the screen. Hensley arrival confirmed. 10:15 a.m. tomorrow. Secure entrance only. You'll receive full package before extraction. I stare at it, laugh quietly. They have no idea what's about to happen. Tomorrow, everything shifts. But tonight, I let myself sit with the weight of what's been lost. Not missions, not identities, not danger. But something deeper, the hope that family might one day see me as I am. I realize now, they never will. And that's the real loss. The one you don't grieve with flowers or flags. The one that vanishes quietly, without mourning. The morning of Thanksgiving feels different. The air is still crisp waiting. The sky is overcast, not yet threatening rain, but far from sunny. There's a tension to it, like the world is holding its breath. I wake at 5:00 a.m., sharp, my internal clock ticking like it always does before a drop. I don't check my phone yet. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling for a while, listening to the muffled sounds of the house pipes groaning. Someone coughing down the hall, the soft click of my mother turning on the coffee maker in the kitchen. She still uses the one Dad bought her the year before he died. Same chipped carafe. Same floral ceramic mugs. So much of this house hasn't changed. And yet, I have. I sit up slowly. My back aches from the guest mattress, no padding, no warmth. But I don't mind. The discomfort is grounding. It reminds me I'm still here, still human. I shower, dress in black pants and a burgundy blouse. Simple, clean lines. No jewelry, no makeup. I part my hair to the side, not for fashion, but because I always do before a meeting. Today isn't about blending in. It's about being seen on my terms. At 7:00 a.m., I walk downstairs with my laptop under my arm and a folder in hand. I settle at the end of the dining table next to the bay window that overlooks the driveway. My mother walks past me twice before finally saying, "Working on a holiday." I glance up polite, just finalizing a report. Won't take long. She hums disapprovingly and goes back to polishing the silver. By 7:30, the house is buzzing. My aunt arrives with 3 pies. Preston is in the driveway wiping down his Audi as if preparing it for a magazine shoot. Lauren bounces around the living room filming a Thanksgiving vlog on her phone, narrating everything in a chirpy voice meant for strangers online. No one notices that I've opened a secure channel through my VPN. No one asks what I'm writing. By 8:00, I've sent the final summary to Langley. Subject status update. E. Wren clearance level 7. Note on site. Director's ETA 10:15 a.m. confirmed. Package prepared. Public visibility low. Family unaware. It's not the most delicate phrase, but it's accurate. 10 minutes later, I receive a ping. Hensley badge in hand. Entry confirmed. See you soon. I close the laptop. Now I wait. But I don't wait passively. I walk into the kitchen, pour myself a cup of coffee. My mother stands at the counter cutting apples. Would you like help with anything? I ask softly. She doesn't look at me. You don't have to. You're busy. I'm here now, I say. I want to. She hesitates, then slides a bowl toward me. It's the closest we've been in months. I peel the apples in silence methodically. My hands don't shake. The paring knife glints under the light. She finally says, "You've changed, Elise. I know. You used to be more talkative. I learned to listen. That's not always better." I don't reply. Some silences are earned. At 9:00 a.m., the first wave of guests arrives. My mother disappears into hostess mode. My aunt starts coordinating dish timing like a general. Preston shows up wearing a navy pullover and smugness. He looks at me, gestures toward my plain outfit, and says, "Didn't get the memo." I smile. No, I don't usually dress for photo ops. He snorts and walks away. At 9:40 a.m., I step outside. It's quiet. Just the wind and the crunch of my boots on the gravel path. I walk to the edge of the driveway, stare out past the hedges. I know what to look for. Unmarked vehicles, government tint, no plates, and right on schedule at 10:13 a.m., they arrive. 3 SUVs, black, sleek, clean. I don't move. They pull in slowly, deliberately. No urgency, just wait. The first door opens. Director Julia Hensley steps out dressed in a fitted navy coat and leather gloves. Her short silver hair is pulled back, face calm as a still lake. 2 agents flank her, one with a case in hand. She sees me and nods once. Precise. "Elise?" "Ma'am." She walks to me and extends the leather case. "Operational promotion. Senior intelligence. Congratulations." I take it. It's heavier than I remember. The badge is gold crisp, glowing in the morning light. Then, as rehearsed, she turns toward the house. "Shall we say hello to the others?" I don't flinch. We walk together, 2 women in silence, footsteps echoing like thunder across the stone path. I can see them all through the kitchen windows, my mother, Preston Page, the photographer, faces pressed to glass. Someone opens the front door. Director Hensley steps inside first, scans the room. "Is Elise Wren here?" Gasps. A dropped fork. Dead silence. I step forward. "I'm here." She turns formal. "Thank you for your work. Your commitment has not gone unnoticed." Then she holds out the badge, not in secret, in front of everyone, and says, "This is yours." Effective immediately. Preston's mouth opens and closes like he's choking on air. Lauren whispers something that sounds like CIA. My mother's face is pale, like she's watching a building collapse in slow motion. I don't look at them. I just take the badge and nod. "Thank you, Director." She nods back. "You're authorized to take 2 weeks leave, but we'll need you back by the 6th. Enjoy the quiet Wren." Then she's gone. No flourish, no fanfare, just a presence that lingers long after the door closes. I turn around slowly. The room is silent, shaken, realigned, and in that stillness I feel it. The shift. They know now. But more importantly, I no longer need them to. There's a stunned kind of quiet that follows a revelation no one prepared for. The kind that doesn't echo. The kind that presses against your skin like smoke. After Director Hensley left, nobody spoke for a full 20 seconds. That's longer than it sounds. I could hear the tick of my aunt's antique kitchen clock. I could hear my mother's breathing shallow, restrained. I could hear my brother Preston's shoes shifting on the tile as he tried to process what the hell just happened. And I said nothing. Badge in my hand. Silence in my throat. I simply walked over to the credenza, placed the leather folder gently next to the holiday candles, and poured myself a glass of water. Preston finally broke. "You've got to be kidding me." His voice was sharp, but not loud like someone trying to hold it together in front of company. "You're in the CIA," he said again, as if the words might make more sense the second time. I sipped the water and turned to him. "Yes." Lauren blinked rapidly. "But, actually?" That was real. "I don't do fake badge ceremonies," I said, folding the folder shut with one finger. Paige looked stricken. My mother still hadn't moved. Preston narrowed his eyes. "So all this time, every Christmas you missed every birthday, every wedding, you were just off playing secret agent." "No," I said softly. "I was serving my country." "Come on," he snapped. "You chose to disappear. You could have told us. You could have." What I interrupted, finally letting my voice sharpen. "Come home and give you a sanitized version of my work. Tell you about the surveillance missions, the broken ribs, the people who bled out while I kept my voice calm over a wire. What part of that would you have understood?" He shut up, because he didn't have an answer, because there wasn't one. I really looked at him for the first time in years. Preston Wren, doctor, family favorite. The kind of man who corrected people at dinner tables and believed he was doing them a favor. "You didn't want answers," I said. "You wanted me to stay small, quiet, contained." No one said that. Paige mumbled, looking horrified. "No," I said. "You didn't say it. You lived it. You cropped me out of photos. You rewrote my name in group texts. You let your kids call me Lisa and didn't correct them." That last part made my mother blink. "What are you talking about?" she said, finally finding her voice. I turned to her. "Do you know the last full photo I was in with this family was from 2015? You remember the 4th of July at the lake house? You posted 10 pictures from that day. I was in 2. In both, my head was cut off." She looked pale. "That's ridiculous. I didn't crop anyone." "No," I said. "You just used ones where I wasn't there. I didn't mean to. You didn't see me," I said. "And after a while, you stopped trying." She opened her mouth, closed it again. And in that moment, I saw her, not the woman who raised me, but the woman who'd always been uncomfortable with anything she couldn't define. A daughter who asked too many questions. A sister who didn't fit the mold. A woman who worked in admin but never said where. Easier to ignore. Easier to erase. But now, she couldn't. The badge had shattered the illusion. I looked around at all of them, Paige's strained politeness, Preston's wounded pride, Lauren's dismay, my mother's grief. "Let me be clear," I said. "This isn't about revenge. I didn't bring the director here to make a point. She came because I was due for an in-person handoff and she had business nearby. It was my choice to ask her to meet me here." "Why?" Paige asked quietly. I looked at her, and for once I told the full truth. "Because I wanted to see if any of you still recognized me." No one spoke. I took a deep breath. And now I know. Later, after most of the guests had arrived and the shock had been buried under stuffing and cranberry sauce, my mother approached me in the hallway. She looked tired, older than I remembered. "Elise." I turned. "You should have told me," she said, not accusing. Just broken. I couldn't. "I still don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything." She reached out slowly like she wasn't sure if it would be welcomed and touched my hand. "I'm sorry I made you feel like you weren't worth remembering." My throat tightened. I nodded. "Thank you." And that was it. No teary embrace, no grand epiphany, just a crack in the wall. A small one. But enough. Later still, they tried to get everyone back outside for the final Thanksgiving photo. Someone asked, "Where's Elise?" I was already walking down the driveway, coat on badge in my pocket. They can take the photo, they can smile wide, but this time I won't be edited out, because I don't need to fit in the frame anymore. I'm not here to be seen. I'm here to be whole. I don't leave with a bang. There's no dramatic farewell, no second confrontation. Just me, my coat, and the quiet tap of my boots on the gravel as I walk to my rental car. The air is clearer now, cold but fresh, like something has cracked open in the atmosphere. Not wide, but enough to breathe again. In the rearview mirror, I see them gathering under the trellis again. The photographer lines them up. Paige holds her husband's hand. My mother stands between Preston and Lauren, trying to smile, trying to pretend this is normal. They're taking another family photo. This time, no one asks me to be in it. And for the first time in my life, I don't want to be. I ease out of the driveway, the trees lining the lane like sentinels. Golden leaves flutter down as I pass like some poetic nod from the universe saying, "You did it. You stayed calm. You walked away with your name intact." I drive in silence for a while. No music, no GPS. Just the hum of the road and the distant buzz of everything that could have been said but wasn't. It's better this way. I think about what I wanted deep down when I first said yes to that invitation. I wanted to be seen, not praised, not applauded, just recognized. Not as the failure, not as the quiet one, not as a woman who never really fit in. Just as Elise. But they don't have the tools for that. Maybe they never did. And maybe it's no longer my job to keep hoping they will. I pull over at a rest stop outside of Frederick, sit on a bench overlooking a pale field of frost-bitten grass, and finally allow myself to exhale. I open my phone, scroll through messages. 1 from Geneva, 2 from Langley, 1 from someone codenamed Rook. I don't answer yet. Instead, I do something I haven't done in years. I open the camera app, turn it toward myself. Not to post, not to perform, just to witness. No makeup, hair wind-blown, face raw. I snap a photo. Not smiling, not posing, just present. I look at it for a long time. Then I save it. I open my email and draft a message to myself. Subject line proof of life. I attach the photo. In the body, I write, "She made it." I hit send. Back in the car, the badge rests on the passenger seat, gold and quiet, heavy in a way that no one from that house would understand. It's not a trophy. It's a key to the parts of me I built with my own hands, to the kind of life I chose on purpose, to the resilience no one saw growing beneath the surface like roots under frost. They'll go on without me. Thanksgiving leftovers, holiday newsletters, Paige's baby shower, Preston's next job title, and in every single photo they post from now on, someone will quietly remember the woman who left just before the camera clicked, the woman who didn't demand her place in the frame, the woman who walked out of it proud, whole, unflinching. 2 days later, I'm in a secure facility in Langley. I hand off the Istanbul package debrief with counterintel and meet briefly with Director Hensley. She looks up from a manila file and nods. "Wren, ma'am. Family taken care of." I pause. Consider the question. Then I say yes. Just not in the way they expected. She smiles faintly. "Good. We need more operatives who know what silence costs." I leave with my next assignment in hand. No medals, no press, no story to tell. But as I pass a glass hallway and catch my reflection in the dim security light, I see myself fully for the first time. And I don't flinch. Here's what I've learned. Sometimes the people closest to you will never see you clearly, not because you're invisible, but because your truth frightens them. Sometimes family doesn't mean safety. Sometimes it's just another room where you were never meant to sit. And sometimes you don't have to prove anything to the people who couldn't hold your name in their mouths without reshaping it into shame. You just have to walk away with it intact. You don't need their photos. You don't need their words. You just need your own reflection. Uncropped, unfiltered, undeniably real. And that is enough.